Welcome back to CBS Eye on Veterans, powered by ConnectingVets.com. I'm Navy veteran Phil Briggs. All right, in our next segment, we're going to talk about America's Warrior Partnership Symposium with our guests from the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University, Beth Kabbalah, Gilly Cantor, and Jim Lorraine. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you for having us. Good morning.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you.
Indeed. Glad to have you all. Beth, you are IVMF Senior Director for Programs and Services. Gilly Cantor, you are IVMF's Program Evaluation Manager. And Jim Lorraine, you're America's Warrior Partnership President and CEO. And we're going to talk about a lot of things in this segment, but essentially this year's symposium focused on empowering the veteran community. And you'll speak about the various ways VSOs and the general community can work together to empower veterans, communities, military families, businesses, and organization. And while that sounds like I just said a lot, when you look at what each part of that does for the veteran experience, you guys really make lives better. And I don't know who would like to start, but if I just go down the list, can I say, Beth, do you want to talk a little bit about the 30,000-foot view about America's Warrior Partnership Symposium and what we did there?
Sure. Thanks so much, Phil. I'd just like to start by saying the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University, we're really proud this year to be a sponsor of the Warrior Community Integration Symposium. So proud that we brought a huge contingent of our team from Syracuse to Atlanta just so we could maximize the shared knowledge that takes place there and look really hard at how we collectively best serve our nations and our nation's veterans and their families.
And share with me a little bit about what goes on at the symposium, its purpose, its function, and what we might see at the tables and the booths inside.
So this is Jim Lorraine from America's Warrior Partnership. We're proud to host it was our 6th annual. This year was really, as it is every year, is bringing organizations together to both get them to understand what each other do, look for opportunities to work together. The exhibit areas, which we had over 62 exhibitors, really is an example of that, where it's bringing us together into a common voice. What we see, America's Warrior Partnership's mission is to empower communities, to empower veterans. We recognize that serving veterans is like a big puzzle, and that we're all just a piece of that puzzle. And if we can all work together, the picture for the future of veterans and their families and the communities is really pretty bright. And so the symposium is really a personification of that vision.
Share with me some of the programs that are there or that were talked about, discussed, and displayed that really help veterans' lives.
Sure. So this is Gilly Cantor from the IVMF. I support our community initiative through analytics and data support and connecting us back to our research team at the Institute. And our America Serves program is in communities all across the country, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But what we found when we were there was that there were people like Jim Lorraine mentioned from AWP working all over the country in different communities, some overlap, as well as many, many other community-based organizations, municipalities, states, all doing similar work. And I think what we found was that it allowed us to understand what our common challenges were and how we might address them together and separately back in our own communities. And so I think that's what we found really valuable as a team while we were there, is kind of feeling less alone in the work, which can sometimes be difficult because we just want to do right by those we serve.
Right on. And there's a lot of things going on that help those that have served. And they break down into a variety of categories. I noticed as I was doing some research for this that you have different segments here, different tracks, if you will. There were things that empower families and military children, things that empower military spouses. Can you talk to me about what some of those programs look like?
Sure, I'll take it from there. This is Beth Kabbalah. Phil, you can imagine the impact. I'd just like to talk kind of holistically about all these various programs across the nation, all being spearheaded by different organizations. But you can imagine how a family that's been affected by multiple deployments, there's a program out there to help send those kids to camp in the summer. There's a program to support military spouses who are pursuing rewarding careers while their spouses serve on active duty. So I think it's the collective impact of all of these groups coming together so that if you're focused in for example, here at the Institute on running a program like our Onward to Opportunity program, but you know of programs that are out there to help better complement the services being provided to a military family, we're all better served when the entire family benefits from these organizations across the country. And I'd also share that not only were there a number of different organizations, but you see how it breaks down how these organizations represent levels from the very essence of a small community to the national Department of Veterans Affairs. Jim does a great job at bringing some national leadership to come and speak and kind of represent, what our government is doing at the top level to help ensure that programs are out there, that services are widely understood, and it's that whole scheme from top to bottom that really helps helps all the attendees better understand what's there and how we can all work together.
Wonderful. And as we wrap up, I'd like each of you to share with me one thing that you were excited about to discover at America's Warrior Partnership Symposium. Let's start with Beth.
Thanks, Phil. I think for me, what I was most excited about to discover was, I'll just say the face-to-face interactions with organizations I've worked with for months, sometimes years, and you just don't get to see them in person every day. We do good work with so many folks across the country, and it's just really rewarding to have a couple days where we're all together there in Atlanta.
That sounds great. Gilly, let's go to you next.
One highlight for me was hearing from different members of a panel session and one of the general sessions about different approaches that people are taking to address suicide prevention in the veteran community. It was really helpful to hear directly, as we were speaking earlier, from those working at a national and federal level about what's the latest that they're working on. And in general, just feeling like it was the right place to be to get up to date on kind of what the landscape is from that perspective and many others.
And I'll just press pause right there and say that as it is National Suicide Awareness Month, you couldn't have picked a better month to do that. And it's an issue that I liken to a lock with 1,000 keys. There isn't just one way to open it. And every program that's dedicated towards resources for that is awesome, and anything we can do to empower it and discuss it and further the conversation really makes a difference. And I salute all of you for including that in the symposium. Jim, what was one of your favorite takeaways?
So my favorite takeaway is something that I see every year, and what it is a willingness of the people that attend and the organizations that attend, from government to community-based programs, their willingness to work together. And they come away from the symposium with a renewed energy to collaborate. And if we all collaborate together, we can really make some changes. I'd also like to mention America's Warrior Partnership is leading a research study, 4-year, 14 community level research study on characterizing veteran suicide at the local level so that we can better implement prevention practices, not only in the communities where we're researching, which a couple of the communities are IVMS America Serves communities, but also other communities. Again, we talk about to move from fishing for those who are going to take their lives to hunting for those who are going to take their lives.
And along that path and in that journey, each step of the way is meant to save a life, and I salute you for doing that. So thank you all very much for your time today. Of course, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, part of Syracuse University's dedication to the veteran community, and Jim Lorraine with America's Warrior Partnership. Can't thank you guys enough. Where can I find each of you online?
You can find information about the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at ivms.syracuse.edu.
And America's Warrior Partnership is at americaswarriorpartnership.org, which connects community-based programs to national resources. It's really the embodiment of the symposium on an everyday level.